Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we're going to try to make a slider UI component. So as you know, there's no UI slider in Roblox. Well, I don't know why they didn't added it. It's a really usable element in UIs around games. So we'll script this ourselves with the components that we have in the UI, like given us from Roblox, and some scripts. So yeah, let's start. So first of all, I'll just make a simple UI here, a screen GUI, a frame. Okay, I'll size this as I want. I'll make, well, let's make this 50, and let's make this 0.5 maybe. Okay, let's make this 10. Or 20. Doesn't really matter. So yeah. Okay, let me just set up this position. Let's make it 125, and here 0.5 minus 10. So I'll just center it. Okay, I don't need any border. Actually, I don't like borders a lot, so I'll just make it black. Okay, so this is our slider background, okay? Or we can just, well, let's call it slider PG, for example. And then inside it, we're going to have an image button, or an image label, or any button, you know. But I'll just use image button. Here you can put any image that you want here, but I won't bother right now. I'll just leave it empty. For the size, I'll make it 0 here. I think I'll do 2. Well, not here actually. Well, 0. Do 10 maybe. Yeah, that looks cool. I'll do here 2, which means 2 times bigger than the background. Okay, and I'll just do -1, or actually -0.5, so just be centered. Okay, that's great. I'll make it maybe I'll make it white anyway, so yeah. Okay, that's cool. I don't think I need the border. So yeah, that's good. I think the border was great in this case. I want it black. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that looks cool, I think. So yeah, that's our slider button. I'll actually call this just slider anyway. So yeah. Now what we want, we'll make first of all a script inside, a local script inside the slider frame. Okay, I'll call it just handler, for example. Great. Okay. Okay. Now what we want? We want that we can slide this. When the player clicks the slider, will align this slider X position with the mouse X position, but of course we'll make sure that it doesn't like go out of the range, or so yeah, out of range. We're using my dot clamp or whatever, so yeah, let's do it. I think so, yeah. Okay, so this could be not the best approach, but we'll do it. So anyway, so first of all, I'll get the user input service maybe. Well, wait a second. First of all, let's get some references, like the slider equal to script dot parent, the slider button equal to slider dot slider button, or actually because it's inside the slider, let's just call it a button. Okay, great. Button. Okay. Now slider button dot button 1 down connect function. I think mouse button 1 down. Yeah, maybe. Let's just print hello world for now. So I'll just save this with Control S. I'll call it slider UI, so we just don't lose anything if the studio crashes. So I need to get my output. Okay, enable to find module for asset ID. What is that? That's not for my script. Okay, so as you see, when I click on it, it told me hello world. Okay, great. I do need the mouse also, so I'll get the player, local player equal to game get service players dot local player. Now local mouse equal to player get mouse. Well, actually this is deprecated, so I'm not sure if I want to go with this method. Well, let's try to use the game get service user input service. So we'll use this user input service, which is not deprecated, instead of player get mouse, because that's deprecated. Okay. Alright, so I'll just have now the properties that I need for my slider. First of all, local held, so the button held it equal to false as default. Okay, now if mouse down, then held equal to true. Now well, I'm not going to call this mouse, I'm going to call it UIS, stands for user input service. UIS.input ended connect function, and then held, well wait, function, it will give me the input and game processed or processed. Okay, now I'll check if the input is enum dot user input type. I think they should be user input, maybe, I'm not sure, I didn't script it a long time ago. Mouse button 1, then if user input is mouse button 1 and it's ended, which means the player releases the mouse button, well, do held equal to false. Okay, I'll get the run service also. Game get service run service. I just called it RUS. I didn't call it RS because I usually call replicated storage RS, and this is just a convention for me. You can call it whatever you want, but I just call it RUS like that. So anyway, I'll come down and do RUS dot render stepped connect function. Oh, and it's going to give us delta. Not sure if we will use it, but anyway, render stepped. Now I'll just print held for now, so I just can make sure that this is working, that there's no error at this point. So held, it's false. It's true now. Okay, user input is not a valid member of input object. Oh, I think it's user input type. Okay. False. True. What is that, man? Where that came from? I really don't know where that came from. This is annoying. Maybe one of the plugins has some virus or some kind of thing like that, but I won't care about it, at least for now. So true, false, as you see, when I get this, it's true. But when I release my mouse, then it's false. Okay. Which is working. Okay, great. Now, if held, then we'll get the mouse position. Mouse pose equal to, well, UIS get mouse location. Okay. Can we print mouse pose? Play. Okay, says it prints the mouse position, but relative to this point. Okay, so relative to the top corner of the screen, but not relative to the slider. So we want that position relative to the slider. So this returns a vector 2 of the position of the mouse relative to the screen. Okay, great. Now we want a position that it's relative to the actual frame or the actual slider. So we'll call it pose, for example. And then I'll get mouse pose minus, well, slider dot position dot absolute position. Okay, I think this should be good. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So let's print this. Let's print that pose. Okay, play. And is it relative? yeah, the X is relative to that position, which is what we want. That's great. Okay. Well, I think we're good to set this position to our slider button. So let's see. Slider button dot position equal to udm2.new. So the scale would be 0, comma pose.x, comma 0, comma, well, actually I don't want, well, let's store the position, the initial position, in a variable. Button pose equal to this. So we can keep the other resolutions that we don't want constant. So yeah, dot scale, oh well, dot y dot scale, comma button pose dot y dot offset. I think that should be good. Maybe, well, let's see. Oh, okay, so as you see, it worked. Wherever I move my mouse, it just moves with me. But as you see, we have it doesn't like stop. It doesn't have a limit. So it just constantly follows my mouse. And when I release it, it doesn't follow me, which is what we want. Now we should just limit it from moving out of that box, which is pretty easy also. We'll just make sure that we limit that. Okay, so I'll do math.clamp pose.x, comma 0. So the minimum should be 0. We can't go down from 0, or less than 0 if you want to tell, like. And the maximum number is the size of the button. Well, there is a better method. Well, if we did position here, okay? So here, what I'm thinking about is that we're working with the absolute position, which means if the slider got resized with some way in the runtime, then the percentage or the value of that slider will change. I don't think if you can understand me, but I think now I want to use the scale or the percentage. So this button get offsetted by a percentage of that background, of that slider background. Right now we're just using offset, which means if the slider button is here, then we just kind of resized it in some way, then it just stay there. But for now, let us actually, well, let's try to use that. And here, instead of using scale, we'll use it here. Okay, so math.clamp, the number is the mouse pose dot wait a second, let me think about it a little. Well, let us go with the absolute position, because I should change a lot of stuff that would make it just a lot of work to do. But for now, I'll just try to keep it simple for you. Sorry. Comma 0, comma the size of the slider. So slider the absolute size dot x. I think this should work. So let's play, and now we should have a value. Oh wait, that was the scale, right? Oh, so as you see, it limits. It has a limit right now, which is what we want. This is so great, man. We can even define a step. I mean, so it's not that smooth like that. At least I think. Well, I actually want to make this using another method. So let's just get this up. We don't need it. Local percentage equal to, okay, so the absolute position, well, we don't need this. Okay, we don't need this. So we have the mouse position, which is vector 2, which holds the x and y of the mouse, and the button pose, which is UDM2, which has x and y, which also contains the offset and the scale of both components. Okay, so the percentage would be, well, let's get the slider size. Local slider size equal to 0. Okay, actually not 0. Well, slider dot, well, do I really need that? Wait a second. Slider size. Well, let's just get it for now at least. The absolute size dot x. Okay. The button position and the mouse pose. Alright. I don't really need the wool mouse position, I just need the x. For percentage, we'll get the mouse pose minus button pose. Well, not button pose. Wait, yeah. Minus slider dot position. Let's make that in a variable also. Local slider pose equal to this slider dot position and dot x, because we don't need the y. So mouse pose minus slider pose. Okay. Now we should have an absolute. Well, let's actually just visualize it. Output and okay, let's just make sure that we don't have any errors now, because I don't know what happened to my brain. Okay, argument 1 to UDM expected got number. UDM get, okay, wait, slider pose. Okay, the absolute position dot x. Well, okay, so here we have 0, as you see. Okay, that looks good. Now what I want now is in place of printing the value in pixels or in an absolute value, an absolute position, or actually like measured by pixels, I want a percentage. So for example, if I'm here, then it should be 1. If I'm here, it should be 0. If I'm here, it should be kind of 0.5, and just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'll divide this by well, wait, I forgot even the math or whatever. Line slider pose, okay, so divided by the slider size. Okay, well, let's see this. Let's see what it's going to give us now. Should be good. Yeah. Okay. So as you see, it's working. That's what I wanted. Now what I can do is just slider button, and this way is way better because it's dynamic. So yeah, button position, slider button dot position equal to udm2 dot new. What's good in my videos that I'm not writing scenarios before recording. I just record. I don't know whatever I do. I just do everything in front of you. If there's any problem, it's there in front of you. Like, I do it however I want it. So yeah, udm2.new scale, well, we're going to give it the percentage, and here I'm just going to make sure to clamp this percentage between 0 and 1, between 0 and 1, okay, comma 0 comma slider pose, well, no, button pose dot y dot scale, comma button pose dot y dot offset. So I think this should be good. Well, let's play. This is the moment of truth. Okay, and here we have it. Now, for example, here it is. So it's in that percentage, you see. Now, if I actually resize that slider, so for example, let's resize it here. For example, 0.6. Why it doesn't do it? For some reason, it doesn't. Well, what's going on, man? I don't know why it doesn't get edited in the runtime, but anyway, so yeah, that's what I wanted, and this works in various sizes, of course. Well, let's use another size, for example 8, well 0.8, not 0. Well, that's a lot. Okay, let's do 0.8 and do 0.1 here. Okay, now let's play and let's slide this. Okay, and as you see, it slides pretty good. We can snap it into a slide, like, well, let's do something here. Local step equal to 0. So if it's 0, we're just going to let it be smooth. Okay, I'll make a snap function. I'll well, it needs to have the number. and the factor or step or what, well, let's just call it factor. I'll return math.floor number divided by factor plus 0.5 times factor. Okay, this should snap it perfectly. Now let's try this. Math.clamp. Okay. Can I get this, man? Or actually, let's get this into another variable, pose. Local pose equal to this, and I'll snap this to the step. And if you're good, then we pass there 0, because the step is 0, which means number divided by 0. Well, that's not logical or not mathematical, so we're going to check if the factor equal to 0, then we're just going to return the raw number. Okay, but else if the factor isn't 0, then we're going to return that. Well, that should work. So here we have the step equal to 0, which means we should have a smooth slider. Okay, so as you see, we have a smooth slider, but what if we done 0.5? Well, let's see this. I'm curious. This is my first time making such slider, so let's see the result. Okay, so as you see, it snaps perfectly. I really like this, man. Oh god, nice. That's really nice. So as you see, it just so good, man. That's really cool. What about 0.1, which means there is 10 possible values. So let's see, and as you see, that's really awesome, man. Okay, great. And there is even 1, which means either 0 or 1, which means just 2 values, on or off. As you see, that's perfect. Really cool. So I hope you understand what I like writing here. I'll keep the code for you in the description, so, or the wool, actually I'll give you the wool model, so I'll actually do it. Let's just call the screen viewer test. Okay, I'll just publish this into ROBLOX as slider UI. I'll just give it to you so you can inspect it yourself. Okay, so I'll admit that I couldn't explain really good, but as an excuse I'll give you the UI. So yeah, slider UI component. Okay, great. Thanks for 1,000 plus subscribers. And by the way, sorry for no videos for a long time. I really just don't have any ideas. I don't have inspiration, and the ideas that I get sometimes is really complex. It invents it to either make or make in a video. So yeah, I'll just make it public. Oh wait, well, not this. Wait. Okay, so actually I'll just add for you another variable before actually publishing this. I'll just make sure to have for you the percentage value as an variable, a global variable, so you can access it and manipulate it however you want, and it's more logical to me. So percentage equal to 0 for now, because it's just 0 as default, and here instead of local I'll just set it right away. Okay, great. Now I'll just save this. I'll publish this. Save to ROBLOX. I'll call it slider UI, and allow copying and finish. Okay, you'll find this link in the description of this video. Have fun and see you later, guys. Bye.